Donald Trump is using his power of the presidency to hardcore troll the left. And I am here for it. I am all about it, man. This is the most exciting presidency I've ever been a part of, and it hasn't even started yet. Think about how much fun we're having before Donald Trump becomes president. If we're having this much fun before Donald Trump becomes president, think about how much fun we're going to have. Think about how much fun we're going to have when he actually puts his hand on the Bible, swears the oath of office, and then goes back to the White House, sits down at the Oval Office, and actually begins doing the job of President of the United States, the job that he was born to do. There is, Rush Limbaugh, the late great, used to say he was born, sitting behind the EIB microphone. That was the job he was born to do. I fully believe that Donald Trump is doing the job that he too was born to do. And it's very, very exciting. It's very, very exciting to watch. I want to make sure we've been going back and forth with some of our streaming software. We've had some issues, and I just want to make sure that we're live on everywhere because it's an important day. We got a lot to talk about. It looks like we're live on Rumble. It looks like we're also live. Looks like we're also live on YouTube as well, which is fantastic. But I'll tell you what, man, there is so much to celebrate. There is so much. I am here for every part of this administration. I'm not the only one either. Joe Biden, man, Joe Biden's all about Donald Trump. Look at this. This is from the meeting yesterday at the White House, which we discussed yesterday, right after it happened. Welcome back is the New York Post headline. That was a literal quote from Joe Biden. He said, welcome back. And a lot of people point out that Joe Biden had some not so nice words about Donald Trump and his supporters just a week ago. Joe Biden called Donald Trump supporters garbage. They referred to Donald Trump as Hitler. And now he's sitting there in front of a cozy fire, shaking Hitler's hand, hanging out with garbage and going, welcome back. It's so good to see you. And they had a blast, man. They were just two old buds hanging out, reminiscing, having a good time. I haven't seen him have this much fun with anyone. He never had this much fun with Kamala Harris. I mean, look, there's Joe Biden. There they are hanging out, looking at some old portraits. There they are just chilling in the room there. There's Jill. Look at how happy Jill is. Jill loves that Donald Trump's back. Loves it. And there they are hanging out just like, couple of Trump voters just hanging out, shooting the breeze. And say, who'd you vote for, Trump? Yeah, me too. That's exactly what was going on yesterday. And the celebration continued when Donald Trump got home. He crashed. There was like a 1A celebration for the First Amendment. And Donald Trump went with Elon Musk. And you know what they did? Not only did they crash the celebration, I mean, it's not really crashing if it's at your house, but they sang. They sang President-elect Donald Trump and co-chairman of Doge, Elon Musk, got up and started singing one of my favorite songs, America the Beautiful. And by God bless, by America the Beautiful, of course, I mean God bless America. Also, how lost did Elon look there? Elon was like, do I sing this song? I'm not, I'm actually technically from South Africa. Do I throw my hands? I don't even, Elon didn't look like he knew what he was doing there. He's like, Trump's into it. He knows the words. Elon's like, I think I know the words. I'm looking for signals from the big man. And then Donald Trump throws his hands up at the end. And then Elon follows suit. And it's the crowd just goes wild. Oh my God, yay! That sums up the Trump administration there in a nutshell, doesn't it? That sums up the Trump administration in a nutshell. Joe Biden never stood with a billionaire and an opera star in Delaware on Rehoboth Beach singing God Bless America. As far as I know, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. But look, there's a lot to celebrate today because Donald Trump is doing everything Donald Trump said he was going to do, and he's doing it quickly. This cabinet is coming together quickly. There's still a lot of positions that are left open. There's still a lot of positions that we don't know yet who's going to fill them, but they are going to be filled, and they are going to be filled quickly and with the right people.
Engaged in surveillance or list building or monitoring, and I don't care if it takes every second.
If you voted for Donald Trump, if you wanted Donald Trump to be president of the United States, then you really appreciate some of the picks that he made. If you don't like Donald Trump, if you didn't want Donald Trump to be president of the United States, you really hate these picks. And one of the, I mean, probably look, I'll be honest, probably one of the most amazing decisions Donald Trump has made is the decision to choose Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz from Florida's 1st District, District 1. The very first one. It's right over there on the panhandle. That's Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz, who single-handedly was responsible for mounting a coup against then Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, not only got him out of the speakership, but made him quit the House of Representatives altogether and go back to California. Matt Gaetz, who is a diligent fighter against lobbyist jobs for former congresspeople and senators. Matt Gaetz, who fights against the investment in stock portfolios by Nancy Pelosi and a whole slew of others, Republicans and Democrats both. Matt Gaetz, who has been a fervent leader of the Judiciary Committee in all, I mean, he's attacked Merrick Garland. He's attacked Christopher Wray. He's the guy that took the Hunter Biden hard drive and introduced it into the congressional record. So Matt Gaetz is truly an America First MAGA conservative. He's also pretty much one of the most hated guys in Washington. and Donald Trump said, you know what? That's the guy that I want to be Attorney General. And if you listen to the things that Matt Gaetz has said, if you really go back and look at what Matt Gaetz has done, he makes it's the perfect choice. It makes absolutely perfect sense.
Seems like every time I turn around, they're engaged in surveillance or list building or monitoring. And I don't care if it takes every second of our time and every ounce of our energy. We either get this government back on our side or we defund and get rid of, abolish the FBI, CDC, ATF, DOJ, every last one of them if they do not come to heal.
Yeah, heal. Heal, boy, heal. If you don't heal, then we're going to get rid of you. You're going to be done for, because this government needs to work for us, not the other way around. We're not here working for the government. We're not here at the beck and call of the government. None of these agencies. That's Matt Gaetz in a nutshell. He attacked his own caucus on the floor of Congress, and they booed him.
And when it comes to how those raise money, I take no lecture on asking patriotic Americans to weigh in and contribute to this fight from those who would grovel and bend knee for the lobbyists and special interests who own our leadership, who have, boo all you want, who have hollowed out this town and have borrowed against the future of our future generations. I'll be happy to fund my political operation through the work of hardworking Americans, $10 and $20 and $30 at a time, and you all keep showing up at the lobbyist fundraisers and see how that goes for you. I reserve.
Boom. That was, by the way, not just one of the fieriest speeches we've heard from a Republican attacking their own, but it also gave us the line, "Oh, boo all you want," which became, I'm going to be honest with you, like our most successful t-shirt in Patriot history. We sold more of these "Oh, boo all you want" t-shirts last Halloween with Matt Gaetz and the old ghosts in Congress behind him booing him. We sold more of these than I think we have any other non-Patriot or Mark Kaye show item that ever appeared in the Mark Kaye shop. So thank you, Congressman Gaetz, for sticking it to the man and also providing us with a fantastic fantastic t-shirt to sell to the masses. And look, we appreciate we have a new stuff coming out for Christmas too, and we'll get into that in just a minute. So but I do want this Matt Gaetz thing. You can tell that this was a fantastic choice when you look at the reaction. When you look at the reaction of the media and the folks on the left. When this came out, all of a sudden there was just a collective explosion of heads in Washington and New York and all of the media centers that are still left, that haven't been sold off or auctioned off for parts yet. And CNN, they led the charge with it. Listen to what they said about what happened inside of the Department of Justice, which is the purview of the Attorney General. And when Matt Gaetz becomes Attorney General, will be his department to control.
The shock is intense. That is how one source describes to CNN the reaction from inside the Department of Justice now to the news that Donald Trump has tapped Matt Gaetz to be the next Attorney General of the United States. Said another way, if tapped, he would take over the very department that investigated him in a year-long sex trafficking probe, one that ended with DOJ deciding to not pursue charges.
So there you go. The sex trafficking probe that the DOJ opened up on Matt Gaetz turned out to go nowhere because they decided not to press charges, probably because, there wasn't enough evidence. If there were, or really, that's not even true, because the DOJ has gone after people and never had enough and not had any evidence. I mean, case in point, Donald Trump. So now and this is a common narrative that we're hearing. We're hearing there's no way Matt Gaetz can be the attorney general. Matt Gaetz can't lead the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice was investigating him for drugs and human trafficking and all this other stuff. Well, okay, but guess what? Joe Biden's White House was going after Donald Trump for a bevy of other things. Joe Biden's DOJ and FBI and every other organization was going after Donald Trump for a litany of things that never actually turned out to be to hold any water. And now Donald Trump is taking that position. So if Donald Trump can take over as president, a job where the current holder is investigating or has been investigating him, why can't Matt Gaetz take over the DOJ, a job where the current leader has also been investigating him? It actually is the reason why Matt Gaetz should be in charge of the DOJ. It's actually the one reason why Matt Gaetz is the perfect choice to take over the Department of Justice, because he's not a Washington bureaucrat. He's not somebody who's going to sit and rest on his laurels. He's going to say what he means, and he's going to mean what he says. Like, for example, when he said this about women seeking abortions.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
I mean, isn't that the guy you want as your attorney general? Isn't that the way you got? Isn't that the guy you want going after the deep state and the swamp creatures and the corruption? I think he said, well, I forget the quote. He said the women that are at abortion clinics, ironically, are the ones that don't look like they would ever need abortions. Something like they all look like big thumbs or something like that. And they asked him about it. He was very honest in his reply.
Is it safe to say that based off of your comments, you're suggesting that these women at these abortion rallies are ugly and overweight?
Yes.
What do you say to people who think that those comments are offensive?
Be offended.
Oh, boo all you want. That's Matt Gaetz. Here's a clip, by the way, of Matt. This is great. This is this is one of my favorite clips because this is Matt Gaetz handing it to Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland is the current attorney general. Matt Gaetz is the future attorney general. Here they are squaring off at a hearing in Congress last year.
You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis' office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own decisions.
The question is whether you communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
If you make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing. You come in here and you lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory, that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about.
Boom! Look at that. Look at that. Oh, boo all you want. Look at that. Yeah, you know what? If you just gave us the information, we could put this whole conspiracy theory into garbage to rest. But if you hide and if you obfuscate and if you say, well, you need to put in a freedom of information request and we'll get to it, then you're basically you're throwing fuel on the fire. You're throwing fuel on the fire of the conspiracy theory. Right. And that's exactly what Matt Gaetz is trying to point out. And that's why the DOJ is so shocked. They're so shocked that Matt Gaetz could be leading them. He could be the attorney general and he could have the inside track on how to vet out and charge and basically get rid of, just annihilate the corruption, not just in the DOJ, not just in the FBI, but in the entire government. He could, as Kamala Harris would say, with a wave of his pen, with the signature of his pen, he could go after whoever he wants. And more importantly, whoever Donald Trump thinks should be brought to justice. And that's what they really fear. That's what they're really concerned about. They believe that Donald Trump is going to use Matt Gaetz to attack his, this is the irony to me. They believe that Donald Trump is going to use Matt Gaetz as a personal attack dog to go after his political enemies. which is exactly what Joe Biden used Merrick Garland for. The Democrats are so mad. They're so mad because Donald Trump, they believe, is going to do what they've been doing for 4 years, and he's not supposed to do that. That's their thing. You can't weaponize the government like we did. That's our job. Not anymore. The voters said, no, thank you. This has gotten various different reaction on both sides of the aisle. John Fetterman, one of our favorite senators, to quote, was stopped in the hallways yesterday and asked about it. And John Fetterman, I got to be honest with you, for a dodo with a stroke, this guy put this whole pick and appointment. I mean, he was very eloquent in his description of what Donald Trump he thought was doing with the Matt Gaetz Attorney General pick.
I mean, I would describe it as God tier level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
I mean, that's exactly how I would describe it to anybody. It's God tier trolling, not just trolling. God tier. It's like God. If God were going to troll somebody, he would do it exactly this way. If God wanted to troll the libs, he would appoint Matt Gaetz Attorney General. But Donald Trump beat him to it. It's God tier trolling to own the libs. What was it he said?
I mean, I would describe it as God tier level trolling to just trigger a full-on China syndrome to own the libs in perpetuity.
To own the libs in perpetuity. That is the best description I've heard of the Matt Gaetz pick. And that's not the reason he did it. He didn't do it. Donald Trump did not choose Matt Gaetz because he's trolling the libs. It's just an added benefit. It's just the icing on the cake, if you will. Matt Gaetz was chosen because he is an America First patriot who is a fighter. He doesn't care what anybody thinks about him. He doesn't need money. He's not in bed with the special interest groups. He was attacked. In fact, this is a little known fact, but after he threw Kevin McCarthy out of the Congress, he became Congress's #1 biggest enemy. And there were millions of dollars coming in from everywhere. Kevin McCarthy got all of his donors because he wasn't running anymore, and he raised money to try to primary Matt Gaetz in Florida's District 1. They raised millions and millions of dollars to try to get Matt Gaetz out of Congress over there on the Panhandle. And when all was said and done, and when it all shook out, and when the votes were tallied in the primary, Matt Gaetz came out with more votes, with more support, with more of a mandate than he ever had before. Unfortunately, now he's resigned from Congress because you can't be attorney general and a congressman at the same time. So even though the folks in District 1 loved Matt Gaetz and they wanted him to go back and do more of the same, he had to resign his position yesterday because he's going to be the attorney general of the United States. And that is some God tier trolling, as John Fetterman would say.
God tier level trolling.
I never thought I would find myself quoting John Fetterman as much as I do, but man, you know what? Anything can happen in a Donald Trump administration. John Fetterman can become the sage of the Senate. And Donald Trump can make what is a brilliant pick, a perfect pick, a great pick for attorney general, and also have the added benefit of owning the libs in perpetuity. I'm so excited for this next administration. I could spit, but that'd be gross because I'd probably step in it or something like that. Listen, first of all, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. And if you have not yet subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Man. It just gets better from here. Like I said, President Trump hasn't even taken office yet. It just gets better from here. So please hit the subscribe button, hit the ding-a-ling. Make sure you got the notification set, because if you get the notification set, then guess what? They notify you every single time we go live. They notify you every single time we post more content. They notify you every time there's a new video, new podcast, new short, new whatever it is. Rumble, YouTube, iTunes podcasts. If you're listening on Spotify, I don't care where you are or what you're doing, just make sure that you're telling click on whatever button it is that looks positive. Could be a thumb up, could be a check mark, could be a word that says follow. It could just say subscribe. Whatever it is, do that now, because you are not going to want to miss a minute of our content for the next 4 years and probably even more. And we'll talk about that in in just a little while. There's another whole side to this too, because look, we know that CNN and the DOJ are going to be shocked. We know that John Fetterman is going to say that this is some top tier trolling or god tier trolling. But then there's also Republicans and Democrats who are not big fans of this pick. And keep in mind, this is a cabinet level position that requires Senate confirmation. And John Bolton, you may remember that guy. John Bolton was on CNN. And this is interesting. He was discussing another one of Donald Trump's picks because yesterday Donald Trump also announced that he has selected Tulsi Gabbard. He selected Tulsi Gabbard to be the director of national intelligence. And that is a huge position. She's going to answer directly to Donald Trump. And a lot of folks were like, whoa, what is happening? Tulsi Gabbard, she's a Democrat. No, she's not. She's actually a Republican now. She made the big announcement at a Donald Trump rally. Well, now, not only is Tulsi Gabbard, former Congresswoman from Hawaii, former Democrat nominee or Democrat running for president, not only is she a former presidential candidate who ran against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but now she's a Republican director of national intelligence for the Donald Trump administration. I'm telling you, anything is possible in this administration. Anything is possible in Donald Trump's America. And we congratulate her. It's a great pick. But John Bolton was on CNN blasting the Tulsi Gabbard pick. Then he heard about the Matt Gaetz pick, and he had to say, wait a minute, the Tulsi Gabbard pick isn't even the worst pick anymore.
Oh, I thought it was the worst cabinet level appointment in history until they then heard about the Matt Gaetz appointment. Really, my reaction was that this is like the legend of Caligula, the Roman emperor, who wanted to nominate his horse as a Roman consul. You had to be a Roman senator at the time to be a consul, and it was intended to show how demeaned and degraded the Roman Senate had become. So now we're going to see whether the American Senate can stand up and reject two people who are totally unqualified, unfit professionally, and really lacking in the moral characteristics, the character that you need to hold these jobs. I think this vote should be 100-0 against both of them.
100-0 against both of them. That's look. If John Bolton hates you, you're probably doing something right. Oh, wait. There you go. If John Bolton hates you and thinks that you are morally inept or unqualified. By the way, what is the moral qualification for Attorney General or Director of National Intelligence? Merrick Garland? Eric Holder? Bill Barr? What as we go, and I'm not even talking about like on paper, because on paper there's no rule. There's no morality clause in the Attorney General's contract. What there is Senate confirmation. And I don't know about you, but Merrick Garland doesn't seem like the most moral individual in the world. Eric Holder, 1,000%, was not the most moral person in the world. Even Bill Barr had his moments. But to sit here and say these two should be defeated 100-1, 100-1, again, I think is a feather in their cap because John Bolton's opinion is horrible on basically everything. Interesting point, though, is that while a lot of Democrats, in fact, most Democrats hate the pick and can't believe it and their heads are exploding and they think Donald Trump is God-tiered trolling, as John Fetterman said, there's actually a couple of Democrats who think it's a decent pick. In fact, one of them is Jared Moskowitz from right here in Florida. He's Florida's 23rd or 4th district, I forget. It's one of the rich. It's down by it's like Boca Raton. So he's one of these rich representatives from one of those wealthy Democrat districts. And Jared Moskowitz said, "I know Matt Gaetz. I think he'll be great."
I mean, look, this is what the American people voted for, right? I mean, Trump was not shy about what he wanted to do in this country. And, in Matt Gaetz, he's not only going to get someone who's fiercely loyal, but fiercely competent. Matt Gaetz knows exactly what to do with the Attorney General's office. He will turn that into the most powerful Attorney General in American history.
Fiercely competent. Oh, it's Jared Moskowitz. He's a Democrat. Now he's not in the Senate, so he's not going to vote to confirm Matt Gaetz, but he's a Democrat. I'm sure that he has higher goals and aspirations than being a representative for the rest of his life. He might want to be senator one day or some other power position. And he's coming out saying, I know Matt Gaetz. I've known Matt Gaetz for years. He is highly loyal to Donald Trump, but he is also competent to do the job.
I mean, look, this is what the American people voted for, right? I mean, you know, Trump was not shy about what he wanted to do in this country. And, you know, in Matt Gaetz, he's not only going to get someone who's fiercely loyal, but fiercely competent. Matt Gaetz,
fiercely loyal and fiercely competent. He's going to turn the Attorney General's office into the most powerful Attorney General's office in history. And not only that, but wait, there's more. Because Jared Moskowitz says this is what the American people voted for. Gosh darn right it is. Jared Moskowitz gets it. He gets it. He understands that this is what America voted for. They put Donald Trump in office by a mandate. Electoral college victory, the likes of which a Republican hasn't seen for decades. Popular vote victory, the likes of which a Republican hasn't seen for decades. A mandate in the Senate with three seats over the majority needed to take control, and a majority confirmed in the House of Representatives. This is a mandate this is what America voted for. Donald Trump is giving it to them. And the Democrats they can't believe it. They're so apoplectic. They're so perplexed. They're so annoyed that Donald Trump is doing the will of the American people. We wanted a Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. We didn't want a Merrick Garland. We wanted a Matt Gaetz. And now we're going to get it. And Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. By the way, I never thought Tommy Tuberville from Alabama and Jared Moskowitz, the Democrat from Boca Raton, would be on the same page about anything, but they're on the same page about Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz get the votes in the Senate?
I don't know. You're finding all the swamp creatures coming out right now. Everybody's got an opinion up here, but at the end of the day, President Trump was elected by an enormous vote, and he deserves a team around him that he wants. It's not us to determine that. We've got 53 votes in the Senate. We can confirm with 51. I've already seen where a couple of them says, I'm not voting for him. Wait a minute. You are not the United States of America. You have one vote in the U.S. Senate. You did not get elected president. Vote with President Trump. This is the last chance we're going to have of saving this country. And if you want to get in the way, fine. But we're going to try to get you out of the Senate, too, if you try to do that.
Oh, look at that. Tommy Tuberville laying out the law. He's like, look, Donald Trump got basically exactly what Jared Moskowitz said. This is what the people wanted. They wanted Donald Trump. They want Donald Trump's team. Matt Gaetz is one of Donald Trump's teammates. If you don't put him on the team, we're going to take you out. Fine. You can vote against Matt Gaetz. You can make this. We can do it the easy way or we can do it the hard way. But if we do it the hard way, you will be attacked and we will find somebody to take your job in the Senate. And that goes for you, Lindsey Graham in South Carolina. And that goes for you, Susan Collins in Maine. And that goes for you, Joni Ernst in Iowa. And that goes for you, the guy from Louisiana whose name escapes me, but who's always doing the opposite of what Donald Trump wants. What the hell's that guy's name? Not John Kennedy, the other one. It'll come to me. But anyway, there's already Republicans out there who are like, oh, man, I don't know if I can vote. I don't know if I can vote for Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Oh, guess what? Then we don't think we can vote for you for Senate anymore. Axios put it this way. Trump dares Senate Republicans with Gaetz nomination. I dare you. I triple dog dare you. Come on, Senate Republicans, stick your tongue to that flagpole and see if it freezes. Trump dares Senate Republicans with Gaetz nomination. The nomination of MAGA fire breather, Representative Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, has put soon-to-be Majority Leader John Thune on the hot seat. Why it matters. President-elect Donald Trump is daring Senate Republicans to defy him, days after Thune agreed to consider recess appointments to speed up confirmations. Remember, that was a big point, and we'll get to that in just a minute. This was the biggest day of Thune's career and was supposed to be a celebratory afternoon for the winning leaders. Instead, Trump handed Thune a conference splitter. It's a fairly accurate assessment, by the way, of what happened. Think about this. You're John Thune. You've been waiting for old turtle-faced Mitch McConnell. I'm going to retire and step down now. I'm going to hand over the reins to somebody else. You've been waiting for that guy to get out of the way so that you could be Senate Majority Leader for years. Finally, you get your chance, and all of a sudden, here comes MAGA conservative and Florida natives Rick Scott to try to thwart your plan, so you got to beat him back. You finally do. John Cornyn thinks he's going to be the heir apparent. No, you got to beat him back too. Finally, you come out, and you get to be, and you're like, boom, I'm Senate Majority Leader. And now all of a sudden, Donald Trump, within hours, says, okay, Senate Majority Leader, congratulations. I want Matt Gaetz, the most I would just say the most isolating man in Hollywood. You want to talk about somebody who can divide the Congress. It's Matt Gaetz. I want him to be my attorney general. Go make it happen. And when John Thune was asked about it, here's what he said.
As you know, the Senate has a advise and consent role under the Constitution, so we will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
Yeah, advise and consent. Advise and consent. And that's what they call the nomination or the approval process, basically. They've got to go in there. They've got to confirm these people. They've got to advise the president, look, we don't think this is the right person. And then they've got to consent to him doing the job. It's one of the checks and balances in the Constitution. But you may remember that Donald Trump told every single leader via X, he said, look, I don't care which one of you leads the Senate, but I want recess appointments. And Mitch McConnell never recessed the Senate, which meant there were no recess appointments for 2 years. And a lot of judges and a lot of other positions got held up because Mitch McConnell had the power over President Trump to do that. So Donald Trump, he's serious. He's serious about all this. This has been his plan all along. He wanted a Senate majority and he wanted a Senate majority leader who was going to give him recess appointments so that he could nominate Matt Gaetz and so that he and Matt Gaetz could get his nomination through. In fact, you may remember, let me see if I have it. I don't think I pulled it here. You may remember there was a moment when Donald Trump was at a rally. I want to say it may have been the Madison Square Garden rally. Was it the Madison Square Garden rally? It may have been the Madison Square Garden rally. If it wasn't, it was one of the several 100,000 other rallies that Donald Trump had over the past little while. And he mentioned something about a surprise. There was a surprise. Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz had a surprise for the people. I think we figured out what that surprise was.
We got to get the senators elected because we can take the Senate pretty easily. And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
He and I have a secret. The secret is that we're going to win the Senate. We're going to make sure that we get recess appointments. We're going to make him attorney general. We're going to get that passed through. And then we're going to put him into the DOJ to root out all of the evil and corruption and weaponization of the government. But it's our little secret. Now, I think the secret's out. I think the cat's out of the bag. I think we know exactly what Matt Gaetz and Donald Trump were planning the entire time. And it seems to be working according to plan. And as Thomas Massey points out, it doesn't matter if John Thune can whip the votes. It doesn't matter if Susan Collins or Lindsey Graham or Joni Ernst or that guy from Louisiana whose name escapes me. Why can't I remember that? Oh, Cassidy. That's the guy. Senator. I hate that guy. If any of those people disagree or try to hold up the nomination or God forbid, vote against him, that doesn't matter because what happens is we can just recess.
Do you think he'll get confirmed by the Senate? Then we can recess. He's the attorney general. Suck it up.
Look at that. I love that. That's Thomas. That appears to be at the Hyatt, by the way. I stayed there last time I was in D.C. They have a great, oh, by the way, man, they have I don't know if you've ever been there, but at that Hyatt in D.C. right there, it's right by the Capitol building. They have an amazing smash burger. It's a French onion smash burger. And it's so amazing. I could taste it, right? I sat at the bar and I remember I got in late. I was starving. I went to the bar. I go, are you still serving? They go, yeah. And I go, what's good? He goes, try the smash burger. I said, okay. They also have a really good kale Caesar, which I ordered to kind of offset the fattening effects of the French onion smash burger. I was like, if I'm having a beer and a French onion smash burger, maybe I should get something healthy. How's the kale Caesar? He goes, it's good. And it was delicious. Very, very. Anyway, I digress. So there's Senator Tom Massey. He's sitting there and he's going, listen, it doesn't matter. CNN's got a microphone in his face as he's going up the escalator. And they're like, are you going to be able to get Matt Gaetz and the attorney? Are you worried that you have the votes? He goes, it doesn't matter. Suck it up, Buttercup. He's going to be the attorney general. We'll just recess.
Do you think he'll get confirmed by the Senate? Then we can recess. He's the attorney general. Suck it up.
I mean, that is just perfect. That is just, I'm sorry, Representative Massey. I called him Senator Massey. Representative Thomas Massey. That is, I'm going to be honest with you. That is something that is truly, it's just truly poetic justice because we have heard that from the Democrats for years now. Donald Trump's guilty. Suck it up. Donald Trump's guilty. Suck it up. Blah, blah, blah. Suck it up, suck it up, suck it up. And now all of a sudden, the shoe's on the other foot. And if this goes as planned, Gaetz could get confirmed without the Senate because of those recess appointments. If the Senate decides, well, we can't confirm Matt Gaetz, or there's no votes for Matt Gaetz to be confirmed, we'll just recess, and Donald Trump can appoint him during the recess, and he will become the interim attorney general, and he will take charge of the Department of Justice. It's gonna happen. There's no way around it. Now I know what other people are thinking. They're thinking, oh, what if John Thune turns out to be Mitch McConnell Jr. and doesn't agree to recess the Senate as he promised Donald Trump he would do? Well, that's a great question. Couple things. There is a rule in the Senate that allows the president of the Senate, who is Vice President J.D. Vance, to call on or to basically open up the floor to whomever he wants first. And typically, traditionally, the rule is that the president of the Senate gavels in the Senate and will choose or will, recognize the majority leader to speak first. Doesn't have to, though. Doesn't have to. That's just how it's been. But this is Donald Trump's second term. There's a lot to do. There's a country to save. Things are different. And Thomas Massie knows that if he steps out of line, there are ways for J.D. Vance to take control of the Senate, basically, put it into recess, and then Matt Gaetz gets his appointment. Matt Gaetz would not resign from the House of Representatives without thinking this through. He's a lawyer. He's a tactician. This is a guy who played chess with Kevin McCarthy and checkmated him. This is a guy who, every time he went up against the entire government, he went up against his entire caucus, the Democrat Party, the House of Representatives, the Senate, the president, the DOJ, and he won. This is a well-calculated maneuver. This is like, Survivor level tactics. Who was that guy that won Survivor? Richard Hatch? I don't know. You pick your favorite. Derek from Big Brother. This is a tactic like you've never seen before. And when he resigned yesterday, he did so knowing full well that he would be the Attorney General of the United States of America. And that's why all of these people are so up in arms. That's why they're fuming mad. And that's why this is going to be truly one of the greatest and most effective presidencies of all time. Of all time. So boo all you want. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. Listen, it's also going to be one of the youngest cabinets in history, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But first, I did want to let you know that we have a brand new sponsor to the show. The word is spreading about Mark Kaye Saves the Republic and the Patriots all over the globe now who watch. And thank you to all the Patriots who are watching. We have Patriots from the United States of America. We have Patriots in Canada. We have Patriots in Bahrain. We're doing very well in Bahrain still. We're still on the podcast charts there. We have Patriots all over the globe. And if you're a Patriot and you're tuning in, we appreciate you so much. And every single day here at Patriot HQ at Mar-a-Lago, we do our best to bring you the best show possible. And every time you drop a super chat or buy a t-shirt or we get a sponsor, just know all of that money goes right back into the show so that we can continue to do this every single day and bring you entertaining and informative and enlightening and exciting and inspiring content. The truth, by the way, BT dubs. Sorry, Keith. The truth. So you don't have to wonder, God, where do I go for the truth? Do I go to CNN? Do I go to Fox News? You don't have to worry about it. Just come here. We've gone through everything, and we're going to continue to do that every single day. And one of the best things you can do is, like I said, leave us a super chat. Leave us a Rumble rant. Buy some of our merchandise. I'm about to tell you about my Christmas book, which would be a great gift for anyone in your life. But also support our sponsors. And our brand new sponsor is Colonial Metals Group. And Colonial Metals Group is not just another gold group. This is a fantastic organization led by a really bright guy. And Colonial Metals Group, what they've done is they've figured out a way to take gold and silver and precious metals and create IRAs. So you not only get to own a precious metal that is recession-proof, that is inflation-proof, that continues to go up in any market, that there's never a lack of desirability for gold. That's why it's such a great investment. That's why billionaires invest in gold. That's why all of these other people have invested in gold. And that's why you can invest in gold too. You can get a free gold guide, by the way, from our friends at Colonial Metals Group. And if you go to Colonial Metals Group right now and get your free gold guide, they'll walk you through everything you need to know. They'll show you how you can diversify your portfolio, how you can roll over your gold IRA, how you can own actual gold, actual silver, the actual metals, and with all the tax loopholes for rolling over your gold and your silver and your platinum, or rolling over your money rather from your IRA to your gold and your silver and your platinum, then you don't even have to worry about taxes. They've got it all covered. Look, you can even see the scroller at the top. Silver's up, platinum's up, gold, everything's up. Precious metals are up in any economy. So there's a link. There's a link. If you want to get the free gold guide, go to freegoldguide.com/KAYE. I put the link right there in the description of this video on YouTube and also on Rumble. If you're watching on Rumble, it's freegoldguide.com/KAYE. My last name. Make sure you put the E on the end. freegoldguide.com/KAYE and learn, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Learn how Colonial Metals Group can help you buy gold, buy silver, buy platinum, and make sure that your financial future is secure in the most secure investment that we've found. All right, let's get back to this cabinet, shall we? There is something going on in Washington, D.C. that is really kind of interesting. If you look around at the cabinet Donald Trump is putting together, there is Donald Trump, by the way. Donald Trump will be the oldest president in history when he takes the oath of office. Donald Trump is going to be the oldest president in history when he takes the oath of office. He'll be 78. He'll be 84 when he leaves. Never before has a man of his age become president of the United States. He brings with him, however, one of the youngest cabinets we've ever seen. The people he's surrounding himself in his cabinet are millennials, mostly millennials. There are so many millennials. Millennials are just going to run the entire country. All those millennials we made fun of for years because they loved, because they were, I don't know, they were going to One Direction concerts or listening to Justin Bieber records in their basement while playing video games. They're now running the country. For example, Tulsi Gabbard is 42 years old, and she is the new director of national intelligence for Donald Trump's White House. J.D. Vance is the vice president. J.D. Vance at vice president is 40 years old. One of the youngest vice presidents I think we've had in a very long time. Just turned 42. He looks older because of the beard, but he's just 40 years old. Elise Stefanik from New York. She is the new UN ambassador. Sits in Donald Trump's cabinet. She too is a mere 40 years old. You've got Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller, who was the architect of Donald Trump's immigration policy, one of his most trusted campaign and policy advisors. This guy is returning to the White House as deputy chief of staff under Susie Wiles. He will be in charge again of immigration policy. He's going to be in charge again of domestic policy. He's going to be in charge again of making America great again and making sure Donald Trump knows exactly what we need to do to accomplish that. He is 39. Dude's not even 40 yet. Which brings us to Vivek Ramaswamy, the co-captain of DOGE. The Department of Government Efficiency, which we thought was going to be playfully called Doge, but no, they're running with it. They've got a Twitter account now or an X account now. It is Doge. It is solidly Doge. And they are one of the youngest in history. Now, a lot of people were asking about Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, who is a heartthrob and an Captain America lookalike, he's 43. I'm sorry, he's 44. And according to Google, look, the age of millennials is between 28 and 43. So he missed it by like that much. He was so close to being another millennial, but he is, like I am, Generation X. So Generation X is getting the shaft. In Joe Biden's cabinet, by the way, there are only 4 people under the age of 50. There's only 4 people under the age of 50 in Joe Biden's cabinet. The youngest is, of course, Pete Buttigieg, who's 42, who, thank God that guy's gone, huh? I will not miss Pete Buttigieg at all. I will not miss Pete Buttigieg at all. And it's really interesting to see that what Donald Trump is doing is he's setting up the Republican Party. He's setting up the GOP for the future. He is saying, okay, I'm coming back. I'm going to clean house. I'm going to make sure that we get rid of all this corruption. I'm going to make sure we root out the deep state. I'm going to clean up the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the DOJ, all of it. And then I'm going to make sure that the people I put in positions of power, I'm going to elevate all these young people in their 30s and early 40s so that they can stick around and be part of this government, and they can continue to push the America First, MAGA agenda, the Donald Trumpism, if you will, for decades. It's just like when you're choosing a Supreme Court justice. If you actually get the ability, if you're a president and you get to choose a Supreme Court justice, you don't look for like a 60-year-old or a 70-year-old. No, you look for the youngest, smartest, most constitutional conservative jurist you can find. And you put them on the bench, and that way they can be conservative and constitutionalists for years to come. And that's what George W. Bush did when he picked John Roberts. He picked John Roberts to be the Chief Justice of the United States. I want to say he was in his early 40s. Now he's 71, but he was in his early 40s at the time. I mean, you want somebody on the bench for the long haul because the Supreme Court is your one shot to really sell your legacy and cement your legacy in stone for a long time. Well, Donald Trump realized, you know what? I can actually do it with these young whippersnappers. I could give them the credentials. I could pad their resumes, build them up. I could inject them into the government veins of the United States of America, and they could be pumping through there forever. And they could breed new conservatives. And wouldn't it be cool to have all these powerful young people that can then go out and influence other young people to be conservatives instead of the other way around? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So that's what he did. And it's not just happening. It's not just happening with the cabinet. It's happening with the Congress. It's happening with the Senate. When you look across the congressional landscape and you see some of these people like, well, Lauren Boebert's very young. Anna Paulina Luna is also very young. Caroline Leavitt was the youngest person to ever run for Congress in New Hampshire. She lost, but then she became the face of President Trump's campaign. She's like 25, I think, maybe. All of these young people being involved in conservative politics in every level of the government is, I believe, not just smart, but also totally premeditated. This is the way that they are growing an entirely new conservative government by planting seeds instead of just, bringing old trees over. I mean, I think the oldest person right now in Donald Trump's cabinet may be Susie Wiles, Tom Homan, and Mike Waltz, who's my age. Is one of the older ones. Mike Waltz and I are the same age, and I think he's looking at all these kids going, "Wow, what is like a fraternity house around here? What's going on?" The cabinet meetings are going to look like my fraternity, our fraternity meetings, only probably with less beer because Donald Trump doesn't drink. But it's a genius plot. And it's not just like I said, the presidency, and it's not just the Senate and the Congress. Or it's not just the presidency, rather, and the cabinet, but it's also the Senate and the Congress. And we spoke yesterday about how Donald Trump, and again, this could all be you really have to think about it. Donald Trump has had 4 years, okay? Donald Trump has had 4 years to plan his comeback. He's planned this since January 20th, 2021. This has been a long time in the making. I liken it to how, people in prison plan their escapes, or if you ever saw Ocean's 11, Danny Ocean was in prison for years, and the whole time he was planning on how to rob those casinos. It's the same thing. Donald Trump was put in political prison for 4 years after Joe Biden won the White House, and he's been plotting his return ever since. And think about this, okay? Donald Trump chooses Marco Rubio. Senator from Florida, to be the next Secretary of State, leaving an opening in Florida for a senator. Who lives in Florida? His daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, who at one time was rumored to be running for Senate in North Carolina. Then she became the co-chair of the of the RNC, and in doing so, led a successful presidential campaign along with Michael Whatley. She's a superstar. She's married to Eric Trump, who is Donald Trump's son, and she's the daughter-in-law of the president. Wouldn't she be a great choice for senator from Florida? If you think it's a coincidence that Donald Trump made sure there was a Senate opening in Florida, I'm not too sure about that. Again, I believe Donald Trump chooses all of these pieces very carefully. And not only does he say, okay, I want Marco Rubio, but what happens when he leaves the Senate? Who do we install there? Lara Trump is making a play for that position.
To be able to serve in this role has really been the honor of a lifetime, Likewise, if I am able to serve, I would love to serve the people of Florida. This is my home state now and has been for 3 years. This is where Eric and I live. And truly to have that opportunity, I think would be incredible. No one knows better than I do the America First agenda or the goals of Donald Trump in the coming 4 years. So if I am asked, I would love to consider it, but I have yet to have a conversation with Governor DeSantis, so we will have to see.
Governor DeSantis, of course, is in charge of making that decision. Governor DeSantis has said on X earlier today that he has already instructed Cord Byrd. Cord Byrd is the Secretary of State for the state of Florida. Cord Byrd has been instructed to begin the appointment, or I'm sorry, the here it is. Let me pull it up here right here so that I can. So I want to quote the governor correctly because I think he listens from time to time. I know his wife does. Here we go. This is it. Congratulations to the Floridians being appointed to key positions in the Trump administration. Senator Marco Rubio, Congressman Matt Gaetz, and Congressman Mike Waltz. I've instructed Secretary of State Cord Byrd to formulate and announce a schedule for the upcoming special elections immediately. So the upcoming special elections are for Congress. The governor of Florida doesn't have any control over that. Cord Byrd's going to get some special elections going. I'm sure the GOP has their favorites. I'm sure the big money's already flowing. Like I said, we're investigating what's going. District 6 is right next door. I could walk outside and yell, and people in Mike Waltz's district could hear me because I'm very loud and because it's very close. So we're gonna keep a close, watchful eye on that one for sure. And in District 1 over there in the Panhandle, I imagine that Matt Gaetz and the GOP over in that area have some choices as well. Those are going to be special elections. But the Senate, the senator is handpicked by the governor. And the senator who is chosen, or the person that is chosen to fulfill Marco Rubio's term as senator when he goes off to be Secretary of State, will serve for 2 years. And then they will run for re-election in 2026 to fulfill the other 2 years of the term. Because Marco Rubio's, he's got 4 more years left. But the first thing that happens is there's an appointment to the position by Governor DeSantis, and then there's an election in 2 years. That person can then keep that seat, and then they got to run two years after that for the full 6-year term. Laura Trump said she'd be open to it. She'd love to represent the people of Florida, and who better? She knows Donald Trump's agenda. She was one of the ones that helped plan it as the co-chair of the RNC. She knows what you need to put America first. She's literally, this is what they talk about at dinner. She's with Eric Trump. She's with Donald Trump. She's been part of this whole campaign. And now she could go to the Senate and deliver Donald Trump the support and the votes that he needs. Ron DeSantis, however, may have other options or other desires. Again, we believe that Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump are copacetic. We believe that they're buddy-buddy. I don't know if they're like Joe Biden and Donald Trump buddy-buddy, because remember, those guys went from frenemies to BFFs like super quick. I don't know if they're strolling around the White House together, taking selfies with Jill tight. I don't know if we're going to see, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis and Casey this smiley, but we believe they've buried the hatchet, at least for the time being. So it could be that Laura Trump has a conversation with Ron DeSantis. It could be that Donald Trump even has a conversation with Ron DeSantis. And it could be that Laura Trump gets to be the senator from Florida. I know a lot of people would enjoy that. It could also be that Ron DeSantis realizes that this could be his way to get back at Donald Trump for all those meatball Ron comments or those Ron DeSanctimonious moments. All those barbs and jabs that Donald Trump made at his expense because they were look, I mean, if you're going to come at Donald Trump when he clearly says I'm running for president and you're going to say I don't think so, you're putting yourself in the line of fire. So we'll see what happens. There's of course other contenders that have come up. Congressman Byron Donalds is one of those names. And we believe that Congressman Byron Donalds did not run for any kind of congressional leadership position because potentially he wants to leave himself open to fulfill that vacancy in the Senate left by Marco Rubio's appointment to Secretary of State. So look, that would be yet another millennial, I believe. Let me double check that before I get accused. But I don't want to get fact checked again because it happens all the time. Yeah, Laura Trump is 42, so that would be yet another millennial in the Republican Party being elevated to a higher office. So the millennials are taking over. If you're Gen X, your time is done. It's over for you. If you're a Gen X and you're thinking of running as a Republican, I would just do what I do. Start a podcast. Start a YouTube channel. That's the only way you're going to be an effective political leader in this upcoming millennial-owned atmosphere and climate. Speaking of which, by the way, there is speaking of the House representative leadership vote. Yesterday, something happened, and this is kind of a warning. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a warning. You know what? Before I give you the warning, I'm gonna give you some happy news. It is nearly time for Christmas. And that means that coming up, and I don't know when, I may do it a couple times. When I was on the radio, I used to pick a day and it was near Christmas time, and I would read this story, The Untold Story of Christmas. And this is a story that I dedicated to Rush Limbaugh because Rush Limbaugh would tell every year at Thanksgiving the real story of Thanksgiving. And when Rush Limbaugh passed away and I was put in his slot from noon to 3, people would call me and say, can you tell Rush's Thanksgiving story? Will you tell Rush's Thanksgiving story? I said, absolutely not. That was Rush's Thanksgiving story. I'm not about to take Rush Limbaugh's Thanksgiving story. I'm sure you can find it somewhere if you'd like to hear it. And at Christmas time, I said, but I will tell my own Christmas story. And this is a story that I heard years ago. I was totally inspired by. I loved it. And I told it on the air. The first time I just spoke. I said, here's this story that you might like at Christmas time. And people clamored for it. They loved it. Next year, someone said, tell that story again. I said, okay. And I did. And much like Rush Limbaugh's annual reading of The Real Story of Thanksgiving, my annual telling of The Untold Story of Christmas became a Christmas tradition on the air. And then last year, or 2 years ago, somebody said, I think that should be a book. Write it down. Everybody should be able to enjoy The Untold Story of Christmas. Everyone should be able to give it as a gift and share it with their family. So that's what we did. We wrote a book and we put it for sale. And it's to date, and I've written a bunch of books. To date, this is the top-selling, best-selling book I've ever written. And we have it up again now for Christmas time. This is the Christmas story that has never been told until now. And if you go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com, you can get a copy for yourself. You can get multiple copies. You can give them out as gifts. They're great gifts. We tried to make it. I wanted to make it because you know what we do? My wife, she'll buy books for Christmas and she'll leave them laying out so the kids can always pick up a Christmas book, or if you come in, it looks festive with Christmas books. And so I wanted it to look not just like a really inviting and warm and religious and inspirational tale of Jesus Christ, which it is, but I also wanted it to look cool sitting on your coffee table or fit in with your decor. And that's why we made such an elegant cover and such elegant packaging and such beautiful illustrations inside, if I do say so myself. So again, if you'd like a copy, go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. Order now and you'll get it well before Christmas time. You can order multiple copies, and the more you order, the bigger a discount you get. And there's a link in the description of this video on YouTube and Rumble too. So if you're on Rumble or YouTube, you can click that link. If not, just go to theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com, and make my favorite holiday tradition your favorite holiday tradition as well, or at least one of them. theuntoldstoryofchristmas.com. All right. Now that we've talked about the holidays, let me give you a little bit of a warning. There's a warning. Republicans won the White House. Republicans won the Senate, and Republicans won Congress. Republicans, not conservatives. And while Republicans are the dominant party in the United States of America, not just in the House and the Senate and the White House, but also in governorships across the country and also in the state legislatures, while that happens, there is still a lack of combative conservatives. There's still a lack of combative conservatives. In fact, conservative is still a dirty word in the Republican Party. And true conservatives do not win the way the Republicans did. And a lot of people are confused. They think, well, Donald Trump's the president and he got this mandate and we got the House and the Senate. Well, not everybody in the House and the Senate is as gung-ho and steadfast and America first and make America great again and MAGA as Donald Trump. In fact, most aren't. And we've started to see this. We saw this yesterday in the Senate when John Thune beat out Rick Scott from Florida for Senate Majority Leader. John Thune has been in the Senate for a very long time. John Thune is an acolyte of Mitch McConnell. John Thune worked lockstep with McConnell to push through whatever McConnell wanted and to thwart any other Republican. And Mitch McConnell, for a long time, when Donald Trump wasn't in the White House, Mitch McConnell ran the party. He was the most powerful. He held the purse strings. He held the power. He would work against his own party. There were Republicans in the Senate, Kelly Chewbacca, for example, in Alaska, who was going to be senator, was going to win, was going to beat Lisa Murkowski, but Mitch McConnell stopped it. Why? Because Kelly Chewbacca was loyal to Donald Trump, and Lisa Murkowski was loyal to Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell ran the Senate not for the benefit of the voter, but for the benefit of Mitch McConnell. Now he's gone and John Thune is in control. Doesn't seem like a real conservative move on the side of the Republican-controlled Senate. It's not. In the House of Representatives yesterday, there was another vote, the vote for conference chair. Now, with Elise Stefanik leaving to be the UN ambassador, that leaves an opening. She was the House conference chair, and the House conference chair organizes the messaging and gets the word out and is the fourth highest position in the House leadership. And it was Liz Cheney before it was Elise Stefanik. When Liz Cheney got booted, Elise Stefanik got the job. And the job yesterday went to Lisa McClain from Michigan. Lisa McClain from Michigan. She ran against Kat Cammack for House GOP conference chair. And I was following along. I was texting people who were in the room. I was getting the lowdown. And Lisa McClain won the vote. She's now set to replace House Republican conference chair Elise Stefanik as the chamber's number 4 Republican. McClain will be the highest-ranking new face in the House GOP leadership, with the top 3 leaders all staying in their roles. That is, of course, Mike Johnson, Steve Scalise, and the other one, Tom Emmer. McClain prevailed over Representative Kat Cammack in the race to replace Stefanik, whom Trump tapped to serve as the next ambassador to the UN. McClain and Cammack had just days to make their pitch to the conference as to why they should play a leading role in crafting the House GOP's messaging. McClain currently serves as conference secretary and touted her work to flip critical swing seats in Michigan. Now, Kat Cammack is from rural Florida, and Lisa McClain is from Michigan. Who do you think is more conservative? Who do you think is more conservative? The woman who worked for Ted Yoho, took over his seat, and is married to a first responder? Or Lisa McClain, who works in Michigan, a swing state where you have to be very close to the center to even get elected as a Republican? Why do you think Lisa McClain was chosen over Kat Cammack when clearly people believe that Donald Trump has the conservative majority in the Senate and the House, and he has a mandate from the American people to take his conservative America First agenda and make it the law of the land? Why is that? It's because in the House of Representatives, there are 218 Republicans, but there are not 218 conservatives. And I know because I texted one of these Congress people yesterday, and I said, what gives? Why Lisa McClain and not Kat Cammack? Because we know Kat Cammack's conservative. We know that Kat Cammack would help to push through Donald Trump's agenda. And we know that Kat Cammack is not owned by any special interests. And they said Kat Cammack was dinged because she did not support earmarks. Also, she did not vote to kick George Santos out. That's directly from an elected member of Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives. They were in the room during the vote, and they texted me right after. And they said Kat Cammack did not win because she did not support earmarks, which you think is a good thing. And an earmark, for those of you that don't know, is like, for example, when you say, okay, we're going to put a border bill out there, and, we're going to earmark $60 billion for Ukraine. Ukraine has absolutely nothing to do with American border security, but we're going to put an earmark on there, and we're going to make it part of that. And it's typically not that big a thing. It's usually something that representatives do to help their districts. For example, there was a famous one where I think it was like a health care bill or something like that. And there was a representative from Georgia who tacked on $2.5 million to build a hiking trail in Georgia named after former First Lady Michelle Obama. So everybody goes in there thinking that they're voting for some health care bill, and then all of a sudden they're also voting for $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to go to Georgia to build a hiking trail named after Michelle Obama. Those are the earmarks that Kat Cammack didn't support. She didn't want these workarounds. She didn't want if you want funding, great, there's a process for it. Write a bill, bring it, and let's vote on it. She didn't want these hidden handouts of government cash, of taxpayer funds in earmarks. She doesn't support that. A lot of conservatives don't. And unfortunately, there's not as many conservatives in the House of Representatives. There's a lot more who love the earmarks. And that is why Kat Cammack lost the race. Also, she did not vote to eject George Santos, which boggles my mind. George Santos was under investigation by the Ethics Committee. He had not been charged with a crime. He had not been charged with any. He was not arrested. There was no legal. He wasn't going to jail. He'd been found not guilty of anything. And his own caucus, Republicans in the House of Representatives, his own caucus, they voted him out. They booted him, thus reducing their majority once again and making themselves look like idiots. When really they could have just waited around for the voters to decide. Do New York State voters want George Santos to return to Congress or not? They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to lose face. They wanted to wield their power, and they passed judgment on an innocent man and kicked him out of Congress with no evidence. Does that sound familiar? Yes, it's exactly what the Democrats have been trying to do and have been succeeding in doing to Donald Trump in New York and Georgia and in federal courts for years. She was right to not vote for George Santos. Every Republican, and there's a whole bunch of them, conservatives all, but not nearly enough. The conservatives in the caucus who did not vote to kick out George Santos were doing the right thing. And the Republicans in the party who voted George Santos out for no reason whatsoever were siding with the Democrats. And he's out because there's more of them than there are of us. And now with Matt Gaetz popping up, and you've got Republicans who are saying, I don't know, Lindsey Graham, I'm going to have to think about this one. Joni Ernst, it's going to be an uphill battle. Susan Collins, WTF? I'm paraphrasing, by the way. You've got multiple Republicans in the Senate who voted for John Thune to be the Senate Majority Leader, and who now could be voting against Donald Trump's choice for Attorney General Matt Gaetz. Just be warned. The Republicans have the majority. The conservatives do not. And that is why every single day we come in here with the facts, the straight facts, the hardcore facts. That's why every single day we talk about what's going on. We pull back the curtain. We let you know what's happening inside of Washington, D.C. We bring our contacts in so that you can hear directly from the people. It's like my brand new podcast. And for those of you, by the way, who've downloaded my brand new podcast, I really appreciate it. The 47 Daily is skyrocketing. We have thousands of listeners every single day. It's our 4th day today. We appreciate that. And that's not anything I have to do. It's because you want the truth. You want to know what's going on with Donald Trump. You want to know what's going on with the administration. You don't want the spin. You don't want the propaganda. You don't want the lies. You don't want the BS. And that's exactly what we bring you. If you haven't yet downloaded the 47 Daily, please do so. You can go to the47daily.com. Wait, I think I have a banner for that one too. Let me see. There it is, the47daily.com. That one we get out every single morning. It's 20 minutes. It's straight news. And it's only news about Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States. Start your day with a daily dose of the truth so you know what's fact and what's fiction. The47daily.com. But that's why we do this. That's why we're working every single day, because the fight has just begun. We have not even begun to fight, as John Paul Jones would say. We won the White House, yes. We know we have conservatives in the White House. We know J.D. Vance is a strong conservative vice president. We know that Donald Trump is stacking the deck with the likes of Tom Homan, Susan Wiles, Tulsi Gabbard, Elise Stefanik, Matt Gaetz, Pete Hegseth, Mike Waltz. Every single time we get a pick, we're like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, wait, who did he? Oh, that's a great one. Oh, wait, that one too? Look at that. We're stacking dubs when it comes to the cabinet. But when it comes to the House of Representatives and the Senate, there's still a lot of rhinos out there. And that's what we're going to be fighting against. We need to make sure that these people know that the pressure is on them. And if they don't want to get behind conservative ideals and values and Donald Trump's agenda, if they don't want to give the voters what we voted for, then we will vote for somebody else. And it may take us a little longer, but we will make sure that it happens. We will make sure that all of these people are gone, because we have tasked ourselves with not just electing Donald Trump and not just electing conservatives this go round, but keeping at it and making sure that just like Donald Trump is building a young conservative consortium in the government right now to rule for ages, we want to make sure that what we do every single day, here, there, else, everywhere, is put in place the pieces, the long-term pieces that will enhance, that will fortify, that will protect, and that will save the republic. Listen, before I go, there's something else I have to tell you. These tickets, by the way, for our Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament are flying. They're flying out the door. Next week, I was talking to the folks at the poker room, and we floated an idea of me actually doing a live broadcast from Best Bet, where we hold our charity poker tournament every single year. And if you don't have plans yet, it's Thursday, December the 5th, here in Jacksonville, Florida. If you're traveling from out of town, we got a hotel that's going to get you a deal. But the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament is Thursday, December 5th, 2024. The grand prize is $1,000 cash. And there's various different ways you can participate. You can get a seat at the table. We'll feed you. There's a beautiful buffet. There's free drinks, alcoholic drinks, not just non-alcoholic drinks. And you sit at the table, you get entry into the tournament. There's a $1,000 cash prize. There's prizes all night. It's just one of the most fantastic events ever. It's literally my favorite event of the entire year. Everything we do a lot of events. We do a lot more now that we're independent, but this is my favorite event of the entire year. And then we also have something called the VIK table. The VIK table is a live streaming table. There are 8 seats. I sit at one of them all night long. We broadcast live all over the world. There's microphones and lights and cameras. And if you would like, you can get a ticket at what we call the VIK, or the Very Important Catriot table. Like I said, there's only 7 of those seats available. Well, fun fact, if you look here, there's only 5, because 2 of those seats have been claimed, which means only 5 more Catriots will get to compete head-to-head with me at the live streaming table during the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. In addition to being on the featured table and playing with moi, we also have a fantastic prize pack, a swag bag for all of our VIKs. And you get the food, and you get the drinks, and you get the chance to win the $1,000 cash prize as well as the trophy. You can get a discount by buying an entire table. If you're like, I got 8 people at my office, why don't we should all go play. Great. Buy your office a table. Bring some clients. Invite your friends and family. If you buy a full table, get this, you get 6 tickets. You get 8 tickets rather for the price of 6. Talk about we understand how inflation works. So buy a whole table, invite your friends, go in on it together. Everybody gets free drinks, everybody gets free food, everybody gets to play in the tournament, but you only have to pay for 6 tickets and you get 8. And then of course, there's only 5 of those remaining too, by the way. Like I said, these things are going fast. We started with like a dozen tables, we're down to 5. We started with 7 VIK tickets, there's only 5 left. And spectators, we do allow for people to just come and watch, but there's limited room. So we limit those numbers. We're down to 11. If you would like to play, if you would like to compete, if you would like to come and watch, if you would like to be part of the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament, know this. Know that all of your money goes to a fantastic cause. It goes to Kaye's Kids. Kaye's Kids is our charity that we started years ago, and we are so proud of. And this tournament is not just the most fun you'll have at a poker hall, but also it is the most fun you'll have at a charity anything. And all of this money goes to charity. If you buy a table, if you buy a ticket, if you buy a VIK ticket, you will get a receipt from Dreams Come True of Jacksonville, our partner. And you will be able to deduct all of it from your taxes because they are a 503c, 501(c), 5031. But they're a charitable organization, and your donation is fully tax deductible. Come join us for the premier event of the year, the Ho Ho Hold'em charity poker tournament. That is December the 5th this year at Best Bet in Jacksonville. Where am I? There I am. If you want, the link is in the description of the video, or you can go to kayskids.com, KAYESKIDS.com, and I hope to see you there. All right, now I'll shut up. You guys want to see the rest of the video? All right, I'll play the video and then I'll shut up.